This is Reckless Airwaves Radio.
This is Rob from The Rob and Slim Show. Check us out every Wednesday on IPMNation.com/52. You are listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is John Corrigan, host of Corrigan's Corner and the editor of The Wrestling Estate, welcoming you to Reckless Airwaves Radio.
This is Frank Cugino, host of Frank About Sports on YouTube, and you're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio.
This is Percy Crawford from Zinger News. You're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio. Be sure to check out Straight to the Point with yours truly every time we drop one.
Hello out there. This is Tony Myers, a.k.a. Chainsaw Tony, FMW Leather, Leatherface. And you're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio. Don't touch that dial.
Reckless Airwaves Radio. This is Frankie McDonald. I'm doing great. You're listening to the Reckless Airwaves Radio.
This is MUIK, and you're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio.
6 o'clock, and BC coming up on 6:05. I'm just 25 minutes after 6 o'clock, WNBC.
This is Speech Impediment Man, and when I'm not on the stage, I always listen to my favorite podcast, Reckless Radio, and you should too.
This is Fred Alfenbo, and you're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio.
Hey, this is Reckless Airwaves model Valerie, and you're listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio. Uncensored, unfiltered, unforgiving radio. And be sure to check me out on the site at recklessairwaves.com.
Welcome to Reckless Airwaves Radio. Uncensored, unforgiving radio that's always willing to push the limits. We don't care about political correctness. We don't need anyone's approval, and we do what we want. We are ready to wreck the airwaves. This is Reckless Airwaves Radio.
Hey, what's up, Tony?
How you been?
Not too bad. How about you?
We're battling through some horrible rain today.
Oh, really? Over there in New Jersey, it's raining?
Yeah, it was disgusting. It was, I went to the gym early, showered again because I felt disgusting. And I was like, man, I just spent like an hour and a half in the shower. And then, the next morning you get up, you work out, and I was like, I don't feel like going straight to work, putting on another T-shirt, and just putting on deodorant. I'm like, that's disgusting. Someone found to smell me. So after the second shower of the day, it's so humid and everything. I'm squeegeeing the sweat off my forehead. It's getting,
right.
to those dog days of summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, it just started pouring at about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it was pouring. Well, no, it wasn't pouring here. It was just a little bit of rain around about 6 or 7, but not much, though. Stopped pretty fast. This isn't my type of weather. I like cooler weather better. I don't like the snow, but I don't like sweating all day either.
Yeah, but hell, here in Jersey, it's only hot 2 months out of the entire year, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jersey, New York, it's only that 2 months out of the year that are unbearably hot. And, you know,
right. Yeah.
Japan, July, you know, I'm looking at rain season. That was, well, the rain literally doesn't stop for a month.
Right. Yeah, that's something else. Like that would be the opposite. That would be kind of depressing after a while.
I mean, think about how your socks and shoes feel. Like you got to
Yeah.
like add baby powder and carry around a spare pair of socks because the rain and the mist is always hitting your ankles, and you know.
Yeah.
I mean, your typical. If I wasn't a wrestler, I would shave my body hair because I don't see how people do it. It's like a disgusting swamp. Like, why add a layer of clothing to
a layer of hair?
Yeah, I mean, it's like wearing another layer of clothing. It's
right.
I don't care if people call it metro, whatever. You know, how can you stand to be around your own sweaty armpits? Like, Jesus.
Right. Yeah,
like,
some people don't care about that. I'll never understand having like a ton of hair under your armpits, but I don't know. I don't know if you see it as much now as back in the day. I know back in the day nobody gave a crap about that stuff.
Yeah, like in the 70s and 80s, I guess that was all good.
Yeah.
But as time grew on, you know, and I even noted, you know, not to get like too much into, I don't know how much detail I could get into without crossing the line, but
there's no line here.
You know, as the seasons changed and years went on, it was like even the Japanese women had caught up with the women in America as far as like shaving themselves from head to toe.
Oh yeah.
I know. Yeah, I noticed it about the same. There was, you know, because I'm big into the nightclub scene out there, and I love the club scene out in Shinjuku, Ueno, Tokyo. So, yeah, at one point around 2013, 2014, it became the trend of girls to purposely remove a chip out of the front tooth. It was just the style.
Well, that's weird.
So, yeah, I know. It contributed to something that was supposed to be like. Yeah, it was supposed to contribute to being like cute or something. I was like, Jesus, like these are protruding bones, you know, exposed in your. That's why culturally and traditionally, Japanese girls, like anytime that they laughed, they would cover their mouth because they were told that like inside your mouth is a very ultra personal thing. You know, men shouldn't see that until you're married, that kind of thing.
But
so yeah, that's why they always do that funny giggle and cover their mouths. Because it's supposed to, it was back in the day.
If you snap your tooth like that, doesn't that expose the root? I would think. That I don't
If
understand.
it gets down far enough.
I guess it's not down
I
far
was
enough.
I talked to a guy who pretty much went the same route that I did, up through the Independence in Jersey, and knows all the same people I know, ran across everybody. A guy by the name of Andy Nichols. And he and I were sitting there talking, and I explained to him how my tooth and a few of my teeth had gotten broken so far down to the nerve, and then as the years went on, or you know, I'm very strange. Like I always have at least a cough drop or a piece of gum in my mouth at all times because, like, you know, I smoke, and so you know, like I'm very like conscious about my breath and everything. So, yeah, I explained to him the entire story about how, you know, my tooth had broken down so far that, you know, I just called Boga one night at about 4:00 in the morning. I go, it's so unbearable. I was like, I can't sleep. And he goes, why'd you want to get this bad? And I go, because I didn't want to lose my spot. You know, it's like, at this point, he was going to Osaka with WWS Pro Wrestling, and I wasn't about to miss like 2-3 solid shots in a row.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm like, that's why I let it get so bad. And he was like, well, this is really bad. Now it's going to cost us extra money to get it fixed. And, you know, so I was covered under his stuff. And, you know, lo and behold, there's a way to make his money back because it's just the Japanese businessman inside of him, I guess. Yeah, he had me doing like toothpaste commercials because he knew he was getting like a cut of the pie.
Right.
And then he sent like a little camera crew out there to follow me out to like Ribera's Steakhouse and be like, oh, see, no new teeth. Now go eat meat, you know. So, yeah, he always had to find a way to like get something out of something, get something back or something even more, you know. Yeah, like have me do toothpaste commercial.
I didn't know that you smoked.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you know, it fluctuates throughout the years, like depending on the stress situation and other things, it's, but for over the last decade of my life, I can't smoke a full cigarette. I smoke like half of it, put it out, smoke the other half later or whenever.
Now, why is that?
But I
You
mean,
get out of breath or something?
yeah, it's just like too much. It's almost like a burning, and I'm like, it's just too much. I'll start hacking and harking, and it's like, gee, then you should just quit. No, but then it crosses your mind. You're like, oh, I want a couple drags, and then that's it. Then I'll be good for a while, and then yeah. But you can imagine my job, my regular job here stateside, with me catering, mobile catering. You can imagine me lighting up all the time, just being stressed out from being in traffic, and I got deadlines, and I got to get people's food there. It's a private school it's a private school we've been catering to, and every one of their baseball games they had me do, and it was like 15 meatball Parmesan sandwiches and 15 Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. It's a total of 30 sandwiches, like almost every single day.
Wow.
And I mean,
that's a lot.
And it's what you want, because before she even gets the bill, she's like, "Oh, just give him 30%." So,
wow.
And then on even larger orders where they have like trays and trays of like lasagna, meatballs, even like seafood, live lobsters and that kind of thing. We sell all the seafood and everything else too that we cater. So imagine what a chunk of change it is to deliver to these people.
Oh yeah, you mentioned Philly cheesesteak. I have not had too many of those over the years. There's not too many places here on Long Island that you would find that. There's a hero place that I see it on the menu. I've never had it there though. The only time I really remember having one was in the 90s, believe it or not, long time ago, when I was in Atlantic City, and it was pretty good. I mean, it's just shredded, some kind of meat. I can't remember what kind, but it was pretty good. I liked it. It's not around
This is
here
one of those deals where, and this isn't like delicatessen stuff. This is, like you're talking about whatever meat they use, it's richer meat. I mean, the place that I work at, this isn't just like, hey man, I want a pizza. This is, okay, you're starting at $20. What do you want on it? It's going to cost you extra. Yeah.
Right.
So, you are dealing to a much higher class clientele.
Right.
As opposed to when I owned my own Domino's back in 2012, 2013, and I'm just restricted all the time by corporate, lines of what I have to do, what I don't have to do, all that stuff. It just became so robotic. And then me selling that place, to provide me college funds for my kids, and all that stuff, I was like, I stayed in the same exact place, and they built a wing on it for me to train other management. In 2017, I think I told you that story, abbreviated footnote. It was like, they started slowly taking all my benefits from me. This is from corporate Domino's.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, they're like, no more Japan. I said, no more you. Like, I'm making out far better in Japan than I am, stateside with a regular job.
Yeah. I never understood. It's another thing I haven't had Domino's probably since like the 90s or whatever. All I know is I went into a Domino's with this girl I was going out with probably like 10 years ago, a long time ago, and they didn't sell individual pieces. They were like, you have to buy an entire pie or whatever, and we were like, well, we don't want an entire pie, so we just left. Like, what are we supposed to do with two people, probably eat one or two each? I said, I know they sell smaller pieces, but...
Well, the oven alone is like $40,000, and then I wound up getting the place for $315, and I wound up selling it for $365, which the guy that sold to me was getting out, and to this day he has his own plumbing company, which is exactly what my father and brother both, own their own plumbing companies. So he just wanted out, and I knew it. And he could have sold it to this guy that's a multi-millionaire. He's kind of like the king of Domino's. He has like 73 of them. Guy's name is Mike Kahn, from Jersey all the way up to like Canada, all the way through Canada. The last I checked, the last I knew, and this has been like 4 or 5 years ago, the guy owns 73 of them. So,
wow. Now that's a moneymaker.
And yet, and just like Jerry Lawler, he would only put $5 gas in his car at a time, and very frugal. You know,
yeah. Going back to
downtown
the smoking,
Bruno level.
I was gonna say, going back to the smoking. How do you? Doesn't that affect like your stamina when you wrestle though?
You know, here's the craziest thing about that. Once I'm in ring shape, I'm in ring shape. I almost feel like I could go through an entire match like smoking a cigarette. The funny thing is how many top guys are smokers. You look around you and you're like, that guy smokes?
Yeah.
Or that guy vapes? Like, how the hell does he pull all that off? I remember going into the match with at Big Bear Produce. Wasn't at the White Studio, it was Kita Senju. Oh, the 1010 Theater. And up on the 5th floor, imagine on the 5th floor of this place to have a wrestling ring. It's where they do a lot of their TV tapings. Well, I was going against Hashimoto, and I'd been his teammate. I went against him in the Super Battle FMW thing. And, you know, he's every bit of 320 pounds. You know, he has a professional record for mixed martial arts. You know, he guy's a complete shooter from head to toe. And he's geared out like Kevin Owens. And,
right.
I mean, that's a big, big dude. And
yeah.
I mean, imagine me legit 6'1", and hovering around like 245 and being a smoker, hanging with him. And just all go. Like not
right.
one hold. Like if a hold is slapped on, it's because it's a shoot hold that he's putting on me and I'm struggling to get to the ropes.
Right.
In a shoot way I am, because like all that stuff, dragging him around, man, at 320, you know.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, imagine. I was like 255 when I wrestled him, and never once did I come near blowing up. It's just the strangest. If I'm in that ring shape, I'm in that ring shape, and just my challenge every night. And you could see me leaving the ring with the chainsaw was keep spinning around, keep throwing it up, you know, keep doing the leather dance and all that stuff. And it seems like I don't run out of energy. That's me challenging myself. Like I'm doing the Terry Funk thing where I'm spinning around on my left foot and I'm herking jerking my fist and everything. All that stuff is an attempt to blow myself up.
Right.
And,
right.
You know,
yeah.
Ricky Fuji's a heavy smoker, one cigarette after another. But it's just like we get in there and we fuck with each other. You know, we try to blow each other up.
Well,
like 5 back body drops in a row.
Our cigarettes are like $10, maybe what is it, $12 a pack now. They've been that way for a long time now.
Yeah, what the Pall Mall 100. Sometimes I put out that same cigarette 2-3 times and smoke it.
Yeah,
it's like smoking a cigar. It's just so strong. How the hell does anybody smoke like an entire Pall Mall cigarette? Like, God, you feel like death when you're 3/4 way through a regular one. A 100, you know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I only smoked a few times because I have asthma, so I can't really smoke really anything. But back, 15 years ago when I was a lot younger and I used to smoke, all I remember is I used to smoke. It felt great. I mean, it just takes the anxiety and stuff just away from you instantly. It's a good feeling. But man, I would cough my head up for days after that, and I was just like, it's just not worth it. You have asthma, you can't do this anymore. And that was the end. Then when I found out I had high blood pressure, then I was like, really, now that's the end of that for sure.
Well, it's a weird thing that from the minute I get down, from the minute I get flown into Japan, the minute my feet hit that ground, I'm already walking with my roller bag, and I'm out and about, and usually I don't have my car on me, so everywhere I'm going, through every train station, you try a haul on a chainsaw through any of that crap, like especially when I'm wrestling. You could wrestle 7 nights a week if you want in Japan. It's just that's the way that the indies over there are structured and everything else. People run throughout the week all the time, even in the smallest venues. They even cater to the hipsters out there and the bohemian types that smoke, the long stem cigarettes at a bar, and they're watching you participate and wrestle on mats, not even inside of a ring. I'm still trying to get the Chris Jericho podcast because on there he's talking to G Raver and Pondo pointed out, he goes, Tony Myers was the first guy to ever do no ring anything here in America. And I was like, no, I was just emulating Survival Tobita. Saru Tobita was using me on his stuff, and that guy had been doing no ring. It was to give the illusion that were such a poor promotion. And then people are competing to be like the dirtiest wrestler alive, like the filthiest. That's how the whole thing with the sex and violence came up. But yeah, it was intended to be the world's shittiest independent, like complete with just shit talent. But you know, once it started to catch a little bit, you know, I needed guys, and that's when I brought in the Pondos, the Drake Youngers, and all those guys. And so, but yeah, it was. Once I'm in the thing over there, it's just for some reason smoking never, ever, ever fazed me inside of the ring. It was just, I don't know. You know, I could see where it would hold a lot of people back. But if I'm in there to go, and you know, I'm in the ring shape that I want to be in. I mean, I swear to God, I feel like there's just no stopping me. Like, you know, my attempt is to blow myself up and chase people around and run after people and that kind of thing. That's just brutal passion coming out of me, you know. But
well, smoking is still big in Japan, right? Doesn't everybody smoke there still?
Yeah, but it's restricted in so many places. Like they have the separate places in the airport where it's the little room with the sliding door that clicks as you're sliding it, and you know, there's designated places for smokers and everything. But as time goes on, you could see them phasing it out more and more. I mean, it's almost amazing. 1994, my first time there, I remember so many people out and about smoking everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But now you look around, and yeah, there's several pictures from my albums on Facebook where just right out in the middle of the street says no smoking on the street. So you have to find a designated place,
Right, yeah, it's changed. I mean, it's been that way for the United States for a long time now. I remember even in high school, everybody was smoking all over the place. Not in the building, but like all over the place outside. I can imagine how it is. Well, I know how it is now. You can't smoke at all probably on the premises, inside, outside,
Don't
anywhere.
you remember in the 80s, every time you saw a video arcade game, there was always a cigarette burn, like right by the button?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somebody would always,
Yeah, arcades was something else. We talked about that once before. I remember there was an arcade in a mall over here, and that was probably the last one that was still going. I think the last time I saw people playing like in an arcade was probably like 94. Was when I first started driving. So maybe like 93 actually. But
you know, for a while there, that's what Tarzan Goto's regular job was when his dojo and everything went under. He was working at an amusement park, and just like, you know, in a higher rank position. But something that's like really sad is you look at Tojo Yamamoto, you know, the name from Memphis, drew big money, you know, for all those years. Jerry Jarrett's old tag team partner. I mean, ridiculous numbers they set for drawing money. And before he ended his life, that's what he was doing. He was working in a video arcade.
Wow.
And like really having to swallow his pride to do that. Somebody had gotten him that job. But yeah, it's kind of funny in a weird way. Before I'd actually mentioned Downtown Bruno as far as being like frugal and cheap, and I'm like halfway through reading his book, and I'm reading like through the first half, and I'm like, boy, he is so full of shit on some of this stuff. It's like even the dates, or even around the times, or him saying that he left Memphis for 5.5 years. It's like, Jesus. Even the most casual fan would know that's not what happened.
Right. The I was going to say the last time, I don't know if it was the last time we talked or maybe the time before it. I'm thinking the last time we talked, we were talking about that Drake Wuertz. He got in trouble with the WWE, and then since we talked last, he got released. And I know you weren't surprised by that.
No, not shocked at all. I mean, I think it was one of those things where he just stands firm with what he believes in and everything, but it's like, buddy, you just went from making, you know, a comfortable 6 figures a year and, you know, and still one of the most respected organizations to work for, not taking bumps. And, you know, lo and behold, I find out he's doing independence here and there, and just, why? What was the point?
Right. It baffles me, though, like that a lot of these guys, not just wrestlers, just overall, across the board, they're so passionate about politics now, and you probably never heard them utter a word about any of this stuff, like even like 5-10 years ago. I don't know why they would risk their jobs over something like this. And most likely, 5-10 years from now, they're not going to even care about politics again. So,
yeah, but even as a human being, I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely what it is. It just segregated America even more. As much as we came along with other things, we took a giant step back when we had, what would be like Christian extremists, Republicans, and I mean, my God, when Triple H is up there in a big company meeting, talking about Black Lives Matter, and you scoff in front of everybody, you scoff and you turn around, you walk out, where is your mind?
Yeah.
Wars have been fought over politics. Why on planet Earth are you gonna? To me, it's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, there's so much I could say about. Yeah, there's so much I could say about the Japanese politics, and but you realize you're in a different country.
Right.
Yeah. If you're in Lebanon, they tell you to take your shoes off before you come in someone's house. You're in Lebanon. You take your effing shoes off.
Right. Yeah. You got to adjust to the setting.
Yeah, that's the culture. That's what you're dealing with. With America, it's such a young country. Yeah, so much stuff is already established. Things are, said to be what they are. But you just have to have people that, they have to be let it known what their intention or what they're this and what they're that. And it's just, even at the workplace, religion shouldn't come into anything.
Right.
That's something you do. That's your beliefs and your opinions. And, if you know it's going to rock the boat, why are you sitting here telling anybody any of this? It's
right.
It reminds me a bit of the situation, at my regular job, and just, I don't know if the guy's grasping for attention or what he's going for there, but it's like, whatever you're trying to do, just stop it. Let's
What's
focus
he doing?
on
He's
what
just,
you can.
He's just arguing politics and stuff?
Yes, and aggressively looking for it. And it's like,
for arguments.
Look, let me make sure these drivers get the hell out of the door. They have a half loaf of bread for every single serving tray that we have, and they have all their dressing and their side items, and we're giving them enough plates and napkins and forks and knives and all your utensils, your serving spoons, your salad tongs. Let's make sure you got all that. Then when things have really died down and we're more bored than we can be, then you could go doing whatever you're trying to do here. But right now, we got a lot of stuff to get out the door. So let's just. My Sunday consisted of get up, go to the gym first thing in the morning. Had to pick up the Amigo at 9:00 because we had an order that was due at 10:00 for. Oh, God, what was it? 45 pizzas, 16-inch. So you can imagine, this guy, and us taking an entire hour just to be all right, count them one by one, put them in bags, keep them hot, plates and napkins, you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Which I always looked around my job and, I even went on Facebook in a public forum and been we really need drivers. In Jersey, after you're done paying your taxes, there's not a lot you could do at $65,000 a year. But, it is what you make of it. If it had to be my life and there wasn't a Japan and that kind of thing, I don't see how anybody can complain about mobile catering to anybody. It's like a damn fool could do this.
Right. Yeah, it's a job.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it could easily be a career,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's stress, there's this, there's that, there's, but even like I told one of the bosses up there, because I went to school with him, and I knew his whole family forever. I was like, man, at times you act like we're out in the hot sun digging ditches all friggin' day, or they're doing construction on a building right next door to us, and you see those people come out of there at 6:00 in the afternoon, getting off of work, and they've already been working since like 6:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Boy, you see them coming out of there, and you could see them holding their hip and their knees.
Oh, yeah, they're in pain.
Back.
Yeah.
And those guys are full benefits, okay, in the union. They got to be making $30-$40 an hour easy.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though, you make me climb up 4 stories, and I'm staring down at the concrete from 4 stories up, and I'd shit my pants.
Yeah, that's not for everybody.
No. I can just imagine what it'd be like to walk up, stairs with bags of cement. I co-owned a roofing company back in 2004, but, the most I ever did was haul some bundles up there because, even to be a craftsman, to draw a straight line is really difficult.
Right.
You could just pop it, with a chalk line and shit, but it's an acquired trait.
Yeah.
Some people are naturals, and what does the world really need a lot of? I'd say people that can build things.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Before we leave that topic, did you ever remember seeing, like, when you back in the day, not recently, obviously, you see it more now, but did you ever see a lot of people talking politics? Maybe in the 90s and even the first 10 years of the 2000s, or is that something that's just more the last 5+ years?
Oh yeah, but now it becomes a hot topic because it's like so taboo.
Right.
And I always kind of looked at myself, and I always said, not that I know what people say about me or this, that, or the other, but in the big picture, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are still closet this and closet that, and they would look at it like, oh, what white trash? Tony's got a half black kid, or whatever.
Right. Right.
I know that people still think that way, and I'll never change their minds, and I don't even want to begin to understand their rationale as far as what's what and what they truly believe, and what difference does it make to me? It's like, you can go on hundreds upon thousands of YouTube videos and fascinate yourself for days with people's bigoted and stupid comments, and that's easy to do when you're staring in your phone and you're laying in bed, but you don't see anybody like that with their heart out on their sleeve, walking around out in public like that.
Right.
Most people are smart enough to hide that because they realize
hide it.
Eventually someone's probably going to punch you in the face.
Right. That's true. Yeah, so it's just something that's different nowadays for sure. While that technology didn't exist back then, that's the other thing. Social media has made everybody into a critic now. Didn't exist back then.
Everybody has a platform.
Yeah.
Everybody has a platform. It's like, I try to explain, because yours is the only recurring one, like, that I'll do, like, on a monthly basis. So I'm always like trying to, here lately I've been very strong with it. So I want to say to people that are out there like listening to this right now, it's not the blow up. If you've listened to me this long, as far as we've gotten into this thing, great. I invite you to come along with me. I'm the guy that's standing there going, hey, it'll be more fun if you all come with me and we witness this and we see this. And, that's like my agenda for putting up pictures when I go overseas and this, that, and the other. But I also, it's such a great platform for me to get my feelings out. And two, the same exact questions that people ask me are the same questions you ask me. And the updates that I give and when I'm going to be back and this, that, and the other. So it's not me giving somebody the cold shoulder. It's me saying, oh, boy, I covered this in a lot of detail. If you remember, 3 months ago, I told you about FMW-e. And then 2 months ago, Onita announces the formation of FMW-e.
Right.
So it's like, there it is. For the first 45 minutes, it's all laid out to you, all the details, all the everything. When I got the green light from him, I was like, oh, thank God. This is like the weight of the world off my shoulders. You remember this was going on while the AEW thing was going on. And,
right.
Yeah. So, and there's like, there's so much more detail that I could go into with so many other things. But one, it's going to sound like I'm just name dropping and I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I'm just stroking my own ego. And two, nobody would believe this, and it's not like I'm going to show them the screenshots or whatever that are in my phone, because then they might take that name and they might try to get work in FMW by saying, oh, that's who I got. That's who Tony's in touch with. It's like, no, you have to understand. I'm there with the office. These are the office people. This is why this is all like back on me. So it's like when guys start sending them or start asking for work and that kind of thing, it goes right back to me, because they go, hey, Tony, you know this guy? And eventually somebody will drop my name. So it's even more reason for them to bounce it right back to me and go, is this your guy? Like, what? I just wish to God that people would understand. It's so much more heat on me that I'm in this situation than it is like, it's much more reason for people to dislike me or think that, you know, I just got myself or that I'm lucky myself to have a job there or whatever. It's not so much that. It's that they placed trust and responsibility on me. And if you only knew the name of people that I could drop that have contacted me actively looking for work, or bigger name guys that say, hey, man, you know, it's always been my dream to wrestle Anita. You know, I get that an awful lot, and Onita himself gets it all the time. So do with that what you have to. And it's like I said, the heat comes back on me, because there's only, you know, that's all people know is, oh, I'll go through Tony. Tony knows them people. Well,
have you ever hooked anybody up, though?
I mean, Louis.
Louis, okay, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm just giving you a recent example.
Yeah.
Because you remember the entire year, and, you know, you even at one point had us both simultaneously on, and the three of us. Yeah, that was at the height of the pandemic, where, I mean, the guy got turned away 3 times, where they changed the flight so much that, you know, even up to like a few weeks leading to it, they were like, you know, the airline themselves canceled the flight. First it was, you remember this, Newark International, then they changed it to JFK, then they changed it to LaGuardia. And when they couldn't find a flight out of LaGuardia, they were just like, we're refunding this company, we're refunding them the money, you know, there's no way, we're in the middle of a lockdown. And, you know, so, yeah, there's Louis. I told a story about Matt Tremont. You know, even on the Sam Roberts show, he gave me credit, and I'm like, no, actually, you showed up on their radar. And they just came to me, and they said, you know this guy. Is he like, you know, is he fully functional? Is he, because he looks like a friggin' living lunatic, you know? And then I met Matt myself for the first time in like 2017. I was like, not only is his work all go, I was like, but he's like such a humble guy, which I'd been searching for the longest time.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody, you know, who will cut their own promos or whatever. Like Tremont was kind of like me. He was like, ring the bell, I'll show you the shit I do out there.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah. As far as hand selecting, I've went to that office with a bunch of names, you know, from time to time, and, you know, they were just, now's not the right time, or tickets have already been sold, or, hey, ticket sales are strong, and this guy's not even announced, so I think we're doing good enough, you know, okay. Right. And, you know, it just uncomplicates things. Masada was standing there, because he's just talking with Onita, you know, he's making small talk, and I stood up. You know, I told Onita, I go, this guy I was telling you about, man, the guy from Big Japan and this, that, and the other. And Onita's like, you know, I think we're doing just fine for now. And he's like, you know, it's no bad thing about your friend or anything. He was like, it's just the budget's not really freed up to fly in other foreigners right now. Like we're doing all right with what we got, and we're doing good enough with, you know, the Drew Parkers that are just floating around out there that they're using. So, you know, you have to understand. God, I wish I could just sit here and just drop names all night long. I can give you a list of at least 40 people that have contacted me that have been like, hey, having him there would be an asset. Oh, this would be great.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that's fair to do to that person.
No.
You know?
No, definitely
So like
not.
call somebody out or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
In the past, I've given you goofy stories of some of the dumb things people have done to, you know, try to get Onita's attention, or some of the bullshit that they've sent him or Pogo, you know, or, you know, once they find out in the office. And the thing that kills me about a lot of the indie guys is they type this shit out in English. Like, they expect the Japanese to understand.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just Google Translate, or, you know, if you know anybody who's Japanese, hey, man.
Yeah.
Try to get them to prepare you something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting though. I wanted to ask you, did you see the Dark Side of the Ring Nick Gage episode?
Yeah, I sure did.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that one. I enjoy all of them, but I enjoyed that one a lot. A lot of stuff I didn't know
really,
about him.
Yeah, I didn't learn about, because you see, like a year ago, a little over a year ago, Justice Payne had passed away.
Right, his brother, right?
Yeah, and I didn't even, first I read it, I'm like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. Because I stopped hearing from him, like, you know, right about the time his life started to go downhill. I didn't hear from him as much, or he was, like, really, like, out there. And I'm like, man, I think he's using. And then, you know, talking to other friends of his, it just confirmed it, and things just continued to go downhill for him. So I didn't learn until about 4 months ago that he had jumped off the Walt Whitman Bridge, and I was just like, oh, God, you know, I was like, I'm not very shocked, but, like, I don't understand, because I might be the only person I felt at the time to say it, that, like, Chris Wilson, Justice Payne, to me, he was always, like, the nicest guy. You know, I understand where his resentment came from, and he didn't know what he was getting into at CZW, and, you know, the scars that he accumulated over the years. And then there's this little brother, man, you know, and imagine you're sitting there on the internet one day, and all of a sudden, you know, everybody starts sending you a link and calling you and going, hey, man, you hear what happened with your little brother? And, you know,
yeah.
Then he's got the FBI coming to his house and, you know, tell us where your little brother is, you know. He don't need that. The guy's, you know, got a wife and 2 daughters. He doesn't need the trouble. But I just felt, after all, boy, it didn't paint Nikki in a good light at all. But, you know, God, it seemed like they could have just went on and on and on forever with that episode, you know, because there was no end to the Nick Gage story. There is
still
no
going
end
on.
to it. Yeah. You know, and him just saying, you know, God willing, man, I'm just getting to another day. And it's like, Nikki, you're back using again. Like, God damn it. You know, I wanted the happy ending to be that he kicked it for good.
Right. Well,
and he, you know.
Didn't they say at the end of that he really is off it, though, didn't they?
I said that he was off the really hard stuff, but they pretty much insinuated now that he's not clean. You know, I guess he'll still light up and that kind of thing, if you want to call that kind of thing. What was it, back in 2002, 2003, they ruled marijuana out as a gateway drug. But, you know, from what I've heard from other people, you know, he still dabbles. And I don't want to hear that. You know, I don't want to be one of those people that, you know, and then, you know, in the midst of this, if you want to believe how heavy New Jack's usage was, and 58 years of age, you know.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about him, too. Yeah, he died since we last talked.
Right?
Yeah.
He's another one. I always heard these nightmare stories about him, and just, And it's so weird because like everything that I've ever dealt with him, every 1993, I was 19 years old. And I remember him coming in with a guy from Jersey who used to wrestle around the area as Mark Freer. And him and New Jack teamed up, and he was Homeboy. So it was New Jack and Homeboy.
Yeah.
Coincidentally enough, I dropped Pondo's name before. The guys that they won the tag belts from was a guy that used to wrestle as Avalanche, who later on wrestled as C.W. Bergstrom's partner, Melvin Penrod Jr. C.W. Bergstrom was a principal. Melvin Penrod Jr. was his, like, A student.
Right.
He was like a nerd. The guy was like 400 pounds and wrestled with glasses on and shorts. It was the weirdest looking. Anyway, I remember New Jack and Mark Freer, Homeboy. They stayed at the Admiral Benbow Inn over on Union Ave in Memphis. I remember them coming in too. So, you know, even dealing with him back then, you know, he was like, I want to make it somewhere with this wrestling. And he told me a bit about his past, but it wasn't in a bragging kind of way. I don't think it was till in later years with ECW and the outlaw mentality and, you know, the rebellious kind of thing that it became the cool thing that, you know, the guy's got 4 justifiable homicides.
Yeah. Well, are you surprised that he had such an outpouring of what the heck's the word I'm thinking of? Sympathy, whatever, you know, for his death, even from WWE.
Yeah, and just because with his way to piss people off and just blurt out whatever was on his mind and how he never cared about hurting anyone's feelings. I mean, after after Brian Christopher died, he was like, "Fuck him! I'm glad that motherfucker wore him food," and he went off about him, Lawler, and Kevin Lawler had commented, I think it was on Jamie Dundee or Road Dogg or one of them had put something up on Facebook. And Kevin Lawler said, you know, what are they going to have, like a Dark Side of the Ring Part 2 with him or about him?
And they did.
Yeah. But it's so funny because it's so queer when, you know, talking about originally we were talking about with Nick Gage, when you're thinking and talking to him at a gimmick and everything, he's the most normal, down-to-earth. You would never imagine in a million years that he would get involved with all this. But, I mean, in all fairness, and I'm not trying to take up for him or anything like that, a guy losing both of his parents due to cancer by the time he turned 30, I mean...
No, that's rough.
That's come on. Yeah.
That's rough.
And then, not to mention how much his brother has his whole life together, and you got to remember when he left behind CZW, Justice Payne was a union welder. I mean, he made almost $100 an hour, was in the union, built countless. In fact, the giant signage coming over the Walt Whitman. He was the one that welded like that what was it, like something like a 24 or 25 story tower that this giant sign sits on. He did that.
Wow.
And you know, the house, and he's got his pool, and he had the most adorable his daughter's beautiful wife, and just, you know, he didn't hold it together.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a sad part about it. And he didn't talk to Nick Gage for the last bunch of years, it sounded like, as well.
Yeah, I mean, he at first it was the other way around. It was too difficult for Nicky to really talk with Chris because, I mean, there's his brother. He's got a normal life. You know, he's got a family. He works a regular job. He's got the house, the nice new cars and everything. You know, he had it all together. And, I mean, here's Nicky floating around from place to place, you know, just pretty much living out of a suitcase. So, you know, for them it was difficult. It was two brothers that led two drastically different. I mean, their lives were so different in just so many ways. their mode of thinking, and just everything about that could be different about the two of them, yeah. And Chris just kind of grew out of it. He said, I'm not going to collect no more scars, and the hell with wrestling, I'd rather just deal with a regular life. And he was good at it.
Yeah.
But then, it fell off for him, and that's one thing about him, whether he was playing softball, which, he loved that more than anything. Justice Payne was the kind of guy that he was always a leader. Like, even in his early childhood that he told me about, that, him being like, he was always the captain of his baseball team, or, he was always like one of the top tier guys on the softball team, and just, even in latter years, he was always a leader. He was always in charge. He was always, he was always a top guy. He was always, and a lot of people would be like, oh, what he was such a douchebag. And no, he knew he was good. He knew it. He had that confidence. He had every reason to be cocky. He loved the gym, and he was great at that. And he had to be the most jack welder I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I saw the pictures.
Yeah. And, it's just a shame that he couldn't keep it all together.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Just going back to New Jack one more time. What was did you have like a favorite memory about New Jack? Not even, in person or anything like that. Maybe just a match you saw or something like that, or a promo or something.
I remember him and Mark Freer when they were the tag team. They were only tag team champions for like 2 weeks in Memphis. But I remember like New Jack just like looking down at the belt. And he's like holding on to it. He's just kind of looking around, and he just says out loud in front of, in particular, nobody at all. I listened because I thought it was so funny. He's like, man, they gotta. I'm quoting him, So
yeah.
But it's just the way that it's just the way that he came out and said things. He goes, man, they got this motherfucking nigga from Georgia. He's teamed up with this old white boy calling himself.
Yeah.
Old white boy calling himself homeboy and shit. He goes, no, good. Well, that old cracker, man, he's from New Jersey and shit, man. He's like, I don't even know how we got together teaming and shit. He's just like cutting his promo out loud. It's like, I look around and there's like, the wrestler Brandy Wine, Debbie. Yeah, it's like Ken Wayne's like, wife or probably ex-wife now. And just like random people just like sitting around. No one's like really paying them any attention. And I'm trying not to laugh, It's like, It's Memphis, Tennessee. This is where they murdered Martin Luther King, It's,
right.
This guy's just blurting this out. I almost want to start asking him, like, how do you two even know each other? Like, they just got, like, this guy from Georgia, and then they realized that this guy was coming in from Jersey, so, yeah, he's starting up. And I guess we'll just throw them together, and there they are. New Jack and Homeboy.
Yeah. Two more things before you go, Tony. What do you think of the possibility of the WWE being sold to, I guess, NBC maybe, I think it is? That's going to be kind of, it's going to be really G-rated, I would think, after that. I mean, it's G-rated now, badly G-rated, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, after watching the Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, and I'm thinking, man, they couldn't be any more G-rated.
Yeah,
like,
bad.
Who could possibly, like, look at that gimmick and be like, ooh, the Fiend, ooh, like...
Yeah.
When you have Alexa Bliss as adorable, what is she, like a gymnast? She was a gymnast.
She was like I guess a gymnast or a cheerleader, something like that. I guess a gymnast, I would say.
Yeah. But like, and you got this petite, really adorable little blonde girl, and you got her out there, and she looks like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
My God. I mean, that's just like almost too easy to do. It's just like show somebody who's like undersized and, won't give up the fight. And, they put the belt on her before under the same premise of, oh, this little girl is getting up and she's fighting. And you could take that and make her look like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And then, like, Bray Wyatt, you throw it all the way back to, like, there's always going to be that resentment. I guess he had a match with Seth Rollins in the cage, and it didn't have a finish. And, I mean, there's so much detailing you could get into about WWE that, like, I almost want to say I'm shocked it took, like, this long for any of this. But, yeah, you're always hearing about, you know, the stock going down and them selling it to this guy and that person, and this person's next. And then, you know, clearly, who is it? What is the Khan's name? Is it Greg Khan?
It's like Greg Khan or something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That they have overseeing all the WWE talent, and it's just like, it looks like they're just cutting in droves. Like, Gallows, Anderson, they were like, what, $750,000 a year, so they were like, all right. You know, and they don't care about the internet buzz surrounding any of these people. They just get rid of them.
Right.
Even though they've sank all kinds of money into these people.
Right.
You know, you can tell there's clearly an element of they don't care.
They don't. I mean, look at all the time and effort they did with Braun Strowman, and they just released him. That was shocking.
Oh yeah, to me that was a big shock. To me, that might have been next to Rusev. That might have been the most shocking release I can imagine. Rusev was just right for the longest time. They've been pushing him as an upper level guy, not a top guy, but
upper level, With Braun Strowman, it's like feels like the last 5 years he's been a major part of every storyline. Yeah,
but then like even a coworker. I got a coworker. He's kind of like he's one of those guys that you'll see the WWE app on his phone. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he's not one of those. He's not one of those 5-star Tokyo Dome guys. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's not like one of the smart. Here's the thing: I would hate this when wrestlers would be like, "Well, to me, there is no such thing as smart mark. Either you're smart or you're a mark." It's like, no, jerk off. You know, since maybe the early 90s, when they started referring to things as smart mark this or smart mark that, they're saying clearly this guy's a mark, but somebody, you know, along the way, you know, he reads the sheets, he knows what's up, like within the industry. Right. I used to hate when wrestlers would like write their own, you know, like I don't agree with a tweener. Either you're a heel or a babyface, so you're doing a bad job. It's like, you know, if you're a hand like Al Snow, you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want, because Al Snow has made a great living in wrestling, and you know, come on, he's got a proven track record. Right. But if you're some guy in the indies and you're trying to make a point, like you stand for something, or that you're some, you know, ultra wise guru that knows wrestling because you're saying these things and you're taking a stance on what you just come across as an asshole who's never made any money, never went anywhere in wrestling, you know. But you can't really tell anybody any different. And even nowadays, I hear it's actually like the thing to do, to get your resume and all that crap together. Pretty much you could fly yourself to like Australia and take maybe like a couple of wrestling seminars from somebody who's doing them over there, or the same thing with the UK. That's pretty much the 2021 way of getting, you know, any kind of experience.
Right.
Whereas back in the day, you were like, well, I'll try to call Continental, or I'll try to call Smoky Mountain, or I'll try to get somebody who I know in Puerto Rico, or I'll try to get into this territory. I'll try to go down to San Antonio for work, or it's pretty much, there are no more territories. So it's pretty much like the 2010 way, or since 2010, but pretty much the 2021 way of getting around.
Right. And just to, you were talking about bad characters and stuff like that. We'll finish up with this. What they're doing, Matt Riddle, is embarrassing too. They got him on a scooter, with Randy Orton. I don't know if you saw any of that. And he's acting like a 12-year-old. It's so ridiculous. What a waste.
I guess they're giving him the stoner kind of gimmick, but they're trying to like he's stupid. Yeah.
It's a little too much. I mean, it's like.
It was the one week I saw the botch where he forgets his lines live on a Monday Night Raw, and there's Asuka who doesn't speak much English, but she's doing what she can to not make it look so weird and out of place or whatever. And they're something about Twitter or birds coming out of him or something along those lines.
I didn't see it, but
somebody was telling me that they have birds come out of him or.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I just see him on the scooter every week, which is so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, of all things. They got some chick that comes to the ring in a tank or something. They got him on a scooter.
Yeah, stupid. Going back to all these cartoon characters like the early 90s and stuff, but I don't watch it as much as I used to, so.
Well, that's one thing that I got to say. I almost hate to sound that way. But that's one of the things, God, we used to say it a billion times to each other. Brian Christopher Lawler, Grandmaster Sex Ape, whatever. We used to say it over and over. Wrestling is missing the gimmicks, man. I was always a gimmick mark. I was always big on the gimmicks. I'm sorry. I mean, I hated the Berserker. I hated Skinner. I hated that stuff. But, I dug the Viking.
Right.
I was fascinated by Repo Man. I don't know why, but, I'm more of a gimmick guy. I thought that was the most fascinating thing. How much mileage can you get out of a tugboat?
Right. Yeah. True.
But, I mean, it was still... when you saw the debut, you weren't like, who the hell is this guy? It was like, whoa, WWF has a new star.
Right. Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, who's this guy? Where did they get him from? What's his Wikipedia?
Right. Yeah.
Where's he at on social media?
Whole different world now, that's for sure. All right, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm starting to lose my voice here a little. But as always, this is a lot of fun. When are you going back to Japan? In the fall, right?
Yeah, and oh boy. I mean, I can take it. I could overanalyze it. I wasn't going to make it too long and drawn out. I got the message the other day. It was like awaiting fourth wave of Corona. Just for now. Think that it probably will not clear until the end of July. And I'm like, oof. It's this is what I don't want to hear, but at the same time, it's better to hear that than just be left up in the air of, we don't know when the fourth wave of Corona is. I mean, they pushed the Olympics out, for Christ's sake. And, I explained to you in detail, in really good detail, about my work visa and that situation. So, it's not a matter of a work visa. It's not an issue with that. It's just an issue of the whole fallout. And I'm pretty sure you've seen it around you all over. Now they made the mandatory ruling, not this past Friday, but the one before in the state of New Jersey, where the mask came off. So,
yeah, I've
got both of my shots. I can only do what the Japanese. I can only do what the Japanese embassy and the office tells me to do. In the meantime, I even said to them, and they go, well, without you here to do the voiceover with, one of our other people that speaks very limited English. In other words, I'd have to carry the entire thing. Pretty much. Without me being there, there's nothing more that I can do for Magic Box Pro, which, hell, I've been under contract since not this past December, but the one before. So I know for a fact that by December I actually have to be there in person to get another contract signed, because my 2 years will be up in December.
All right.
So, I mean, that's a guaranteed thing. So at the very latest, October, December, but that'll be here before we know it because, the hot days are upon us, so.
Yeah, definitely are. And, we'll do this again in July, like after July 4th. So, again, Tony, want to thank you for coming on, and we will talk next month.
Ouch, it's like salt in the wound because that's the FMW-e. That is their debut show on July the 4th, which tickets are sold completely out for. And they didn't even announce a match. But then they did the whole angle with Onita and Kobayashi and off to the races. But all tickets were sold before they even shot that angle. So imagine that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's great. All right, Tony, we'll talk next month. Thank you.
Yes, I'll let you be then. And once again, always, man, thank you so much for the platform. I truly do appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Tony.
Take good care. We'll talk again soon.
You've been listening to Reckless Airwaves Radio. Check us out daily at recklessairwavesradio.com for all the latest Reckless interviews, as well as other Reckless shows, including The Rob and Slim Show, Corrigan's Corner, and Straight to the Point with Percy Crawford.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.